For if one is remembered by a friend, one is never truly gone.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Greetings from the galaxy far, far away. This is the Legacy of Star Wars podcast, brought to you by Fandom Empire. I don't need any Aesper brought enough excuses for all of us. Alright. We are in for a really great show tonight, obviously, as is usually the case. Don't worry, Randy, I'm not throwing you under a bus this time. Somebody else has taken up driving the bus. It's now Sean's fault whenever news drops on a Tuesday. Yep, that's right. It's an official declaration. Just it's your fault now, buddy. I'm sorry. But as we said, big news, big stuff today. We got an Acolyte trailer. And we are going to dive deep into it tonight. If you haven't already, check out Sean's trailer review reaction video on the channel that he posted this afternoon. So check that out. But we'll be doing our own tonight with the whole panel.
Or don't.
Well, do. We need the views. But, see how much his opinion has changed in 12 hours. Less than 12 hours. Alright, obviously, I'm Johnny. I'm your host of this wonderful cadre of Star Wars aficionados. And of course, joining me, as always, are my usual compatriots and co-pilots. Obviously, you see him directly below me. Sean, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing. It's been a shitty weekend. Hey, the Acolyte trailer came. The Acolyte poster came. And speaking of which, I got an interesting little nugget to share with people about that poster that I wonder if anybody else picked up on, because I got to tell you, I didn't until I happened to be scrolling on Google and I seen something and I was like, oh, okay, maybe that's not so original. And we'll dive into that a little bit later on. But we got a trailer, and I'm excited to talk about what we see on screen. I'm less excited to talk about dipshits on the internet.
Well, unfortunately, we always have to talk about them. Or, well, we always have reason to talk about them because they exist, and as much as we
how dare they have
eradicate them-
females in this show? How dare they? Idiots.
I can't. Some of these. Sometimes I think there needs to be a test before you're given a keyboard and mouse.
Yep.
But I digress. On the other side of the screen, directly beside me, Randy, how you doing tonight?
I'm not doing too bad. I actually had taken some time off from work because our local GalaxyCon was here for 3 days, and I went all 3 days and got to enjoy a couple of Star Wars panels, which was really cool. I will say that I'm was blown away by just how intelligent, super intelligent Giancarlo Esposito is. The dude just is very eloquent, and when he got asked questions, his answers were just very well thought out and very insightful. So if you ever get a chance, even if it's going online to watch a panel with this dude, it's worth your time.
Yeah, I heard some great stories. I think it might have even been from that con that, when you'd bring him photos to sign, he'd just drop into the character of the photo he was signing and converse as said character, which I thought was like freaking amazing for a guy who's done so many unique characters. That would be an amazing experience, I think. All right, our fourth face in this. He's appearing more and more frequently since we try and start before his bedtime and then let him go to bed once it passes his bedtime. Tommy, how you doing tonight?
Hey, don't be hating. That's the words of someone who doesn't have a bedtime.
It's very valid. My bedtime is, let's say, fluid.
Mhm.
And leave it at that.
I'm hanging in there, man.
Alright, guys, obviously, happy to have you all here. So, if you like the video, if you want to see more of us, head down below, click the like button, subscribe, click the notification bell, all that fun stuff. Like I said, head over to the channel and watch the other stuff available on this channel. Like I said, Sean dropped a reaction review to the trailer we'll be discussing a little later on. Check that out. Monday nights, tonight in Haddonfield. Us, of course, Tuesday nights, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Wednesday nights, you never know when there's going to be a Welcome to the Geek Side, and every now and again, Sean will pop up with a video game stream here on the channel, so keep your eyes open for all that, and of course, coming soon to a channel near you, Legacy of Smallville. And, of course, as always, if you want to contribute to the channel on another level, please head over to our Patreon page, patreon.com/Fandom Empire, and you can contribute at whatever level you're comfortable with, from 0 to I don't want to do that, all the way up to $1 billion if you happen to be one of those rich multi-billionaires and just like to throw your cash around. Be happy to put it in our pockets. It'd be ecstatic to put it in our pockets.
Would you clarify that statement? So are you saying that we can join the Patreon for free?
Well,
You said zero.
I'm saying you don't have
Said
to.
zero.
I'm saying you don't have to join the Patreon. I don't think we have a free tier.
Okay.
Really, our free tier is the YouTube. That's our free tier. But if you want to contribute above that, head to Patreon. And whatever level you're comfortable with. If 0 is your comfort level, just keep watching us here on YouTube. We appreciate everyone who does.
Click all notifications on.
That's right.
You will join our new Facebook group, which is actually our old Facebook group, The Legacy of Star Wars. You will be happy to engage.
You got to be more wavy with the hand.
Look, I'm not a Jedi guy, man. You know what team I play for.
That's true. You're more likely to choke someone and say, click the button. Click the button!
Do it!
Yep. All right, guys. Obviously, there's no sense burying the leads. Let's get right down to it. And we're going to talk about the Acolyte trailer. There's no two ways about it. It's the big news of the day. We've been waiting a long time for this. We've discussed it an awful lot, and obviously we'll continue discussing it an awful lot as we get closer and closer to that date in just a few months' time.
So I think what we're going to do here is we're going to play the trailer. And I'm going to put the audio to about half. But we got to be willing to talk over it a bit. We've all already seen the trailer. If we don't talk over it, we're going to get hit and probably taken down. If we do talk over, make sure someone's saying something every 15 seconds or so, we'll be good. So let's watch this. I'm excited to hear what you guys think, pros or cons.
I've watched this thing 2 or 3 times myself so far.
This dude here is the same species as the guy that takes over for Mon Mothma in Star Wars Legends. He ends up becoming like the chief of the New Republic or whatever the hell his position is. I don't think it's Chancellor. I don't think it's that. I think
it's got some bad connotations.
Yeah, I think they renamed. I think they ditched that. Although apparently not in the new canon. So, anyways.
Your eyes.
Mon Mothma's opponent in the new canon was a jackass. But all things aside, My big comment when I was rewatching this earlier was, how could they get that many children just to sit there in meditation? How many retakes do they have to do of this?
I
How
don't think
many?
as many as you think for
Yeah.
child actors anyway.
My wife offered the input, like, what if these were actually small people? But I don't think so. They look like children to me. I mean, I could be wrong, but Sean, this might be a little too loud. Just so you know, I don't know if we're actually going.
All I hear is you.
Oh, sweet. All right. Hey, I mean, at least you. That's you.
I mean, I gotta say, any excuse to see Carrie Ann Moss is a good one for me.
Agreed.
Ugh, I just seen a shot that I hate.
Am
What
I
are
the
you
only
hating
one
on,
who straight
boy?
up saw that guy sort of being a Tyrion and thought, is that William Dafoe?
No, it's not Willem Dafoe.
I know it's not. I'm saying he looks like him.
Willem Dafoe.
I know it's obviously not Willem Dafoe.
God.
I'm saying he looked like him.
This is about power. And who is
Hell, I also had to squint for a second and be like, are they reusing Donnie Yen? Granted, I wasn't watching full screen at first.
No, that's the guy from Squid Game or something.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Once I went full screen, I put that together pretty quickly.
For the first thing, I didn't freeze it in time.
Oh, screwed it up.
We have the 2-episode premiere. That means June the 4th, right here on Fandom Empire, maybe another YouTube channel. We'll see. We will be doing our live review of episodes 1 and 2. That's bound to be a long, fun night. Looking
It's a
forward to it.
Tuesday night, so it'll be here.
Yeah, Tuesday night, and we probably won't get started. I'm assuming it'll be the 9 p.m. start time. So we're probably looking at like an 11 o'clock start time for the show. So in other words, Tommy B won't be a part of it, but you'll be able to hear his thoughts probably on a different episode. We'll probably do different content with Tommy B, and I know Kieran's interested in it too. So maybe we'll see who else is interested in talking about it at a friendlier time slot. But
considering we did, immediates for Obi-Wan, I think this is the friendly time slot.
It is. It is. Let's be honest, though, that's on Disney. Disney should have been doing that for Kenobi.
I mean, I never hated, like, when they were doing full season drops, I never hated the drop it at 4 a.m. with the content update or 2 a.m. with the content update.
Did it. Not on Disney, anyway.
There were a few of the early Disney Plus originals were full. And then they started, I think the first MCU series was the first one that had the scattered release, I think.
Nope, you're wrong. First ever Disney Plus series was The Mandalorian. And
no, Mando was not the first Disney Plus.
Sure was.
original.
Disney Plus launched with The Mandalorian, my friend. Johnny's losing at Disney Plus trivia right now, and the look on his face is
There
like,
was something else.
Well, there might have been something else at the same time, but Disney Plus launched with The Mandalorian.
I thought Mando was like 2 weeks after.
No, sir.
I think he's thinking potentially Clone Wars Season 7. Because that was around the same. They launched that around the same time.
Did they launch all those at the same time? All those episodes? I can't remember.
Think so.
I think they did it in blocks. I think there was like 4 episodes. I think they did like the 3 arcs and 3 drops.
That's what I thought, but I don't know. I can't remember. But I do know Disney Plus launched with The Mandalorian. That was their big thing.
I didn't think that was launch day though. I thought it was launch week.
Pretty sure it was launch day, but you'd have to look back. 2 episode
What are we
premiere.
saying? Because we just kind of went in a circle.
What?
Huh?
What?
Is it that far past your bedtime? Is Tommy losing it?
What was the point we just made?
I think that Disney Plus launched with The Mandalorian and dropping.
I don't think they did.
Okay. Well,
There's
Now
this
we
thing
have
called
to Google it. All because of Sean.
Someone needs a nap.
Don't you
Okay,
fucking
the
tell
Disney
me
Plus
what I
launch
need.
was November 12th.
and so was The Mandalorian. So Tommy and John.
I bet not. I
need
bet
a
not.
bag of dicks. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
I mean, a whole bag is quite a bit.
No, Sean is accurate. The first episode of Mandalorian was November 12th, and then the second episode was November 15th.
Fuck you.
So he is correct in this instance.
Fuck you. You're good though.
I was
only
thinking of the I was thinking of the second
one.
episode. I didn't think they dropped any until like the few days later. I didn't realize that the first episode was on launch day.
Anything to screw me over. In hindsight. It doesn't matter if it's only like 5 years later. Got to screw me over anyway.
All right, let's dive into this trailer here for a second. Sorry, babe. Baby woke up. I'm sure you guys can hear that. Anyway,
It was okay. It was okay.
Okay.
It was okay.
What intriguing insight. It was okay. All right, Tommy.
Yeah, I mean it was all right for like what a minute and 45-second teaser.
Let me turn the wheel on the guy who's been 50-50 on Star Wars Disney Plus stuff. Johnny,
Yes.
what did you think of this? I'd say more teaser trailer than trailer.
It was intriguing. It showed enough to sort of intrigue me in the concept. There was enough characters that I was sort of interested in, and actors that I was interested in. I mean, not just obviously Carrie-Anne Moss, but I did not know Charlie Bennett was in the series. Or Charlie Barnett, not Charlie Bennett. Charlie Barnett. I didn't know he was in the series. I am happy about that. I'm a fan of his. I enjoy his stuff. Just seeing all of the different characters, all of them sort of looked interesting. But the big one was obviously Carrie-Anne Moss, and a lot of her stuff had Matrix vibes, which I liked because it sort of allowed your brain to sort of, put the two things together and be like, okay, I like this. But it was all so obviously Star Wars, but it was taking the things about Star Wars that were in itself very taking things about the Matrix that were in itself very Star Wars-y and making them, sort of tying that weave together in your mind that looks great. And the way they sort of told the story in the background of what's going on, I liked the ambiguity of Carrie. Like, you spend like the first part of this being like, is she a good guy? Is she a bad? You don't know the players and where they stand on the overall map. It's exciting to see this. I'm excited for it. I like the visual look, which is the most important thing. So I'm excited for this. Now, could this entire thing fall flat on its face when I actually see a full episode? Of course it could. Andor did that. To me, anyway. But it may just as easily be the opposite. We'll find out in a couple months. All right, Randy, what about you?
Well, it sounds like from what I've seen, the chatter is that a lot of this was stuff that already came out of Celebration, only just in a less cleaned up version. But for me, it's the first time, not the first time seeing this, but earlier today, it's the first time I saw any of this. So I liked, just like you were saying, the little story they're being told in the background, while you can hear, a Jedi Master training younglings, and the colors, the contrast between the dark and the light was really well utilized here. The idea that this feels like it's going to be a murder mystery or a thriller, that has me excited, just because it's like people are killing Jedi. Why are they killing Jedi? How are they killing Jedi? So, obviously with all that, it's the aura of the dark side and the Sith, but it's just the idea that we didn't get to really see anything dark side, really truly dark side and Sith related, until the very end, which was just that little glimpse. And that's kind of all you needed to know, that shit just got real, especially with that little Force explosion at the end against all those Jedi who just get blown away, not even expecting it. I think that gives you just the idea of how dark we're going here, like to the point of the Jedi are getting overwhelmed. So to me, that's really cool. I just overall, like you said, with Carrie-Anne Moss, I was like, oh, wow, I didn't realize she's in this. This is great. And then the Matrixy stuff that she was doing, that just added to it. Got me even more excited for her character. But just overall, for a bit of it, for the small amount we got, for the teaser we got, the fact that the only bit we really got was that there's all we know is Jedi are dying, and at the end we see our first Sith or Dark Force user. We don't know technically if they're a Sith yet, and that really is all I needed to see. That, to me, I'm ready for what comes next. I want to see exactly all the players. I want to get at least a firm grasp of the story, but I've been fed just enough that I can't wait for June 4th.
Tommy, what about you?
I agree that just the taste of Sith slash dark side esque, maybe. I don't think we can really rule out that or those assassins as having some sort of dark force affinity of some kind. What that would be, what that would look like, remains to be seen. But looks like they're going to be doing some interesting stuff here. Maybe I haven't been following the premise of this show close enough, which is entirely possible. I thought the premise of The Acolyte was going to end up being following a Sith Acolyte. Am I wrong? Did I fall off the bandwagon at some point? I'll admit I have not followed this project closely, but it's not looking like that.
I think that's still going to be the underlying premise once we get there. It's just, off the jump, it's not going, like, it's not going... I don't think it's going to be a, Sith apprentice in the Jedi Order undercover type adventure, you know what I mean? Like, which is one of the ways you could have sort of taken everything, but it's going to be sort of that almost Count Dooku-esque slow fall and descent into becoming, falling into the dark side, as it were. Sean, you did your live reaction trailer video earlier, but for the benefit of those who haven't watched that yet, what did you think?
I thought that this has potential. It has a lot of potential. It's not perfect. I don't think we needed to see what is 85% the same trailer that was at Celebration. They're well aware it leaked. I think they could have switched it up a little bit. They switched up some things. There's some things in there that are different. Visually, it looks really good. I can't sit here and say that it looks and/or good. I can't sit here and say it won't look and/or good when we're watching full episodes. Based off the trailer, though, I can't say it looks and/or good in terms of like production level. I think it's maybe a notch above Ahsoka's production level, and several notches over the recent season of Mandalorian and Boba Fett. So, like, if you're into production level, if you're into cinematography and lighting and the technical side of things, if you don't want to see the thing look like Attack of the Clones, then it probably interests you a little bit. And I think that this is really, really well done. I could be wrong here too. I think this alien girl here is X-23 from Logan.
Oh, I know Daphne Keane is in it.
I'm pretty sure that's her. I'm just looking at the eyes and I'm like, I think she's playing an alien. And then Charlie Barnett, obviously, I know him from Chicago Fire. I think he might have done something on CW. I can't remember what. I think he might have been in the Arrowverse for an episode or two. So I like Charlie
he
Barnett.
played Diggle Jr.
Oh, did he?
Yep.
Interesting. Also, Carrie-Anne Moss, Matrix, obviously. I think it's Amanda Stenberg or something like that. I don't want to screw up the actress's name. If someone wants to...
Amandla?
Amandla Stenberg.
Yeah, I don't know the pronunciation.
I don't know
but
what
that's the
she's
sort of-
from, but she's gotten like rave reviews lately from some of her work. And I know that she is right here. That is her. And as Tommy was talking about, like dark side, maybe it's not following a Sith acolyte or whatever. Being that she's listed as the show's lead, I know she's not necessarily the sole focus of the trailer, or is she? If we look back at certain things, I think we're getting that, Tommy. I just think per typical Disney era Lucasfilm stuff, they're trying really hard to keep everything a secret, but not doing a very good job at it. And that's just how the story is.
It's literally in the name.
Right?
Why didn't we just call it the Jedi and the lightsaber?
What's going on, Flix? Oh, you guys got to see Flix's movie theater setup. It's man cave setup. It's ridiculous. It's like walking into a movie theater. Looks interesting, though. The pouncing begins as usual. Lots of close your eyes memes and comedic answers out there already. Yeah, you'll never get rid of that. That's if you're gonna look at Star Wars stuff online, it's here to stay and not leaving. And there's already people pissed off that there's a bunch of females in this and a female making the show, and it's fucking nonsense. I'm sure their brains are on overload thinking about how heavily females were focused on in Ahsoka, and now you got this show. Get over it. Guess what? Females, males, equal people. It's fucking 2024. Jeez. Not that Flix is one of them. So here's my theory. I do not know this. I have not heard this. This is what I'm putting together. So originally I thought this takes place in 2 different times. I thought they were kind of doing the Arrow thing where we're getting some of the story at one time and some of the story back in time. After watching this trailer, it's either, yes, it's still 2 different times, but we're also getting flashbacks of a different time, or in fact, that this show takes place over 3 different periods of time. So we have, I'll give you the most obvious one to point out. The dude from Squid Game here, I don't know his character's name. So there we have him. Long hair, that different sort of the old Republic style Jedi robe on. And then we're going to go back to, where is it here? He had long hair again in the scene where he's waving his hand at the guy. Thought I'd be much better at this. Oh, this one right here. So that could be the exact same as the last scene. I think we would all acknowledge that. However, where is it?
It's off the rip. Remember we see him in the temple?
There's one where he's with a group of people, and he's I'm pretty sure it's the same character. The temple off the beginning is obviously a different time too.
Yeah.
And I'll point out how. So that'd be number 2, but the one I'm talking about would be a third different time shown in the trailer right here. Nope, that's a black screen. Right here. Is that not him off to the left there? With a much shorter bowl haircut?
I think so. My guess is that's around the same time as the youngling stuff. Because even Carrie looks younger.
Yeah.
There.
So it could still only be the 2 times, but it's also my theory when we're getting the close your eyes, balance, and then the girl right here that I'm circling.
Sees fire.
Fire. I believe that she is her. So, and it would add up. So there's definitely
it's a distinct possibility.
Yeah, there's definitely 2 different timelines going on at the minimum.
I think I think 3 time periods does make sense with the youngling stuff off the rip. You have youngling, so child learning Jedi. Then you have sort of descent and fall, and then 3rd period is discovery. It's sort of how in my mind I'm parsing the 3 eras that they're showing.
Yeah. Yeah, because this is her too, I believe. I think she's the one fighting Carrie Ann Moss. I'm pretty sure this is the same character.
Possibly.
I was thinking that. Yeah.
Can I just say
Yeah.
the one thing?
You don't need to be wielding a lightsaber.
The one thing that this trailer does really well is it feels like it's a different time period of Star Wars.
Yeah.
It still feels like Star Wars, but with sort of a little bit more medieval to it, a little bit more Game of Thronesy, like when they're fighting in that cantina place, whatever it is. It reminded me of when oh my God! When Tyrion runs into Catelyn in season 1 of Game of Thrones, and she arrests him, same type of setting and feel. So like it just feels older. It feels a little more dated. I like that the Jedi look different, at least in some of the scenes. And then if you go further, you actually see what's his face in the. There's a short little clip here where he's in like the traditional Jedi robe, and even Carrie Ann Moss when she's fighting in the cantina, she's wearing like the closer to the Obi-Wan style robe. I just had it. Yeah, that's basically the Obi-Wan robe. Where when we see her in the other one that we just had, that's the old High Republic robe. I have a feeling like the time jump might be significant.
So this is taking place toward the latter, part of the High Republic era. I've been through a few of the High Republic books, the audio versions of them, and just thinking about that and thinking about how that kind of bridges into the. Do they still call it the Rise of the Empire era? I think they do, right? But how it bridges into that. I think I really like what we're looking at here. I'm really liking this.
This character
is going to be really entertaining, lore wise.
This character here is apparently from the books that you were listening to or reading.
If this guy's in there,
girl.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if she's in there and that, I don't know what character that is because I never got super far into. Maybe 3, maybe 4 of them. They're still pushing them out. I'm pretty sure
they are.
That's not my way of saying that I got bored of them or anything. It's just my library stopped having the audiobooks and I don't have the money to throw around go buy them all.
Vernesta Rowe, is that right?
Yeah, based on the
Star
Wars. We have
identities.
I know the last name.
We have names.
We have names for 3 of the characters.
If you pull up the actor as you go through or if you tell me the actor, I'll pull them up.
Well, these come officially from the StarWars.com databank.
Okay.
We have Master Soul. That is the Squid Games Jedi Master.
Oh, that's an island. There you go. So Master Soul?
Master Soul, spelled S-O-L, just like the sun, which I like. Master Indara is the name of the character played by Carrie Ann Moss. No first or... I don't know if that's first or last name. It's just Indara.
Indara sounds familiar.
The Wookiee Jedi is Kalnaka.
And he's played by
Jonas Suetoma.
Yeah, Jonas. Yeah.
And then we have Vernestra Rowe.
Which is the one
which is the one you just showed. Yep.
So, wow, they didn't even name the main character. Nope. We still don't have a name for Amandla.
No, wait, hold on.
Oh.
They had them in a different paragraph. So we have 4 additional ones. So we have a total of 7 new names and 1 old. Charlie Barnett, his character is named Yord. Yord. He is a Jedi Knight and a Guardian from the Jedi Temple.
I'm kind of thinking that if we're thinking 2 different timelines here, I'm kind of thinking that he is... Oh my God, he was in here. I'm not just saying this because of their skin color and thinking that they grew old. I know people.
One of
fucking
the
do that.
one of the younglings we see in the
Yeah,
in the
I
openings.
can't get the thing to stick, but and I'm thinking maybe he is a former pupil of whoever Amendala's character is.
And then we have Jecki. That is the alien we believe is being played by Daphne Keane.
What's the name?
Jecki.
Jackie.
Jecki. She is the Padawan apprentice to Master Soul.
Interesting. Just her?
We still have two more. Then we have Qimir. Qimir. He is a smuggler. I think we see him in one of the backgrounds. He is also a... he's clearly Asian. Black hair, mustache. I don't know the actor. I'm guessing either Manny Jacinto or Lee Jung Jae based on the character, but I can't tell which
I think
one.
Lee Jung is.
I think it's Manny Jacinto because he's younger. No, wait, that's absolute. If I'm right, I think that is absolutely Manny Jacinto. Yeah, no, that's Jason.
I don't think we have a shot
That's
of
Jason.
him in the
That's
trailer.
Khmer. The picture shows him sort of sticking his head out of a side door
Oh,
on StarWars.com. So
this
I don't
guy.
know. Yes. And then finally we have Mother Anasea, who is the one with the thing in her forehead. The white concentric circles. Yeah. And they
Oh,
are...
are we thinking witches?
That's exactly what it says. She is the leader of a coven of witches who value their independence and the preservation of their beliefs and powers.
Interesting. So they're gonna go down the oh, what do you call them? Help me out here, guys. Like the Mother Townsend crap.
The Night Sisters?
The Night Sisters. That would be.
A Witch of Dathomir? Could be.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that adds a whole other element to the show if they end up going down that path too.
Yep. So that is... Oh, wait. There was one
But
more.
still, none. Amanda.
So we do have the main. We do have the main.
Oh, okay.
Her name is May.
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 I'm sorry. I think of Aunt May when you say that.
See, I think May Young, so that's just one of those different things. It's
I'll take Aunt May.
What's MAE, right? So it's this different spelling. That's why. Her description is May gets swept up into a sinister mystery, one that puts her into the center of a conflict in unexpected ways.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, call me intrigued. I really, really like a lot of what they do in this trailer. It had me at, I'd say, about 85%. I'm really happy with what it's done. I also like the fact, again, that it feels like it's a different time and that you've cleaned the slate so much that, yeah, you'll get Yoda references and hell, you might even get references to characters like Ki-Adi Mundi or Plo Koon, depending on how old they decide to make them, or Yaddle. And like I seen someone throwing a fit that, oh my god, no, this should all be about Yoda. And I'm thinking to myself, why? Well, I'm not saying we can't go back to Yoda, but like, can we fucking do something new, please? And they're finally doing something new, and people are bitching. I like this. I like this point by Travis. Travis, where you been, man? We haven't seen you in a couple weeks. I think the last show you were at, I wasn't here, Travis. Yeah. I like his thinking here. Now, this could be any fucking island on any planet, but I'm just talking like the look and shape of the rocks, the fact that Octu is so force-driven. I wouldn't rule it out, guys.
I think this is just me. I think those rocks look too obsidian to be Octu.
How dare you call them rocks obsidian? They're more like BioWare.
I'm talking about the actual mineral, not the company. Thank you. But they just look more, dark and slick. They look more obsidian than just the basic type of rock that Octu is constructed out of. Now, I think this might be sort of the dark side version of Octu, which would be an interesting parallel.
I think the
But, like,
$1 million question is who are we looking at here? Because I don't believe it's a character we've seen in the trailer.
I don't think it's any of the other characters we've seen in the trailer. No.
I don't believe it's an announced character or anything. I do think this is going to be a big moment.
I just hope that just based on how gray everything looks in this, that this is German Cos.
Oh, that would be a good one. That'd be
Like
fun.
everything's all gray and dark and dreary, and we know that's.
Gotta be raining though. Gotta be raining.
But it could very well be, and it just doesn't look it here. Because, like I said, everything is all gray and dark and blah. And it would be, like, to edit out the rain would be a very Star Wars thing to not give away exactly where it is, but I am definitely getting Drum and Cost vibes from this shot.
So my guess here is this is either Plagueis or his master, and for the love of God, I can't remember his name. Like Tre something. He's all over the Plagueis book. He actually has a really, really good part in it. I would put a lot of money on it's one of those two. And I think we should keep in mind that Plagueis's species, although this could easily be a different species there, like the head, they're either wearing a headpiece or it's quite large. Plagueis in old Tenebrous, that's it. Thank you. So my guess, although I think was he a Bothan? I think, again, I guess the species doesn't have to stick though. That's a typical Disney or Star Wars thing. Take elements, but not the whole thing, and move it on over. So, Randy, what about you, man? Is there anything else you want to highlight in this trailer, dude? Because like this, again, I wasn't completely blown away, and I think part of it was because we'd seen part of it already, a good chunk of it. But like, I'm really happy with what we got, dude. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited too. But just like focusing on this frame and knowing that there's always some form of symbolism in a lot of what we see in Star Wars. You know, obviously this whole setting here, and obviously it's just speculation and idea. Obviously if it's one of these characters is May, this whole gray area could be just that. It's like that whole symbolizing she's dead center in the middle and not knowing which way to go, and this character is coming up to her to kind of push her in a direction. Like you could get a scene like that just carries a lot of heavy weight to it, which I think is kind of neat if they do go in that direction, if that is exactly how they utilize this. That's one of the things I noticed with The Force Awakens, but when Kylo Ren goes to kill Han, you see once that light fades and it becomes darkness and red, that's when he makes the decision to kill him. But you could see the contrast between the two, like he's battling with himself. So Star Wars definitely does like to do that. But ultimately, just looking at the different, like you pointed out, the different eras, I think that's going to be kind of neat. I don't know if it's going to be told in flashbacks or if we're actually going to be like, first couple episodes, we're going to stick to one era. And then the next couple episodes, we're going to kind of pick it up a little bit further along, kind of like what House of the Dragon did. So it's really going to be interesting to see how they incorporate the different timelines. It could be just all her going back, having flashbacks and remembering how she started, what she's done up to where she is now. But a lot of the visuals seem really cool, and it's like I said, there's just so much there that I'm intrigued. I'm completely ready to see exactly how this story unfolds between these characters. So I wouldn't say I'm 100% vested in this, but my interest is piqued enough to where this has potential to go beyond just what this is. This could start just like a whole discussion really about, what the Jedi are, what they should have been, what they became. You never know. And I think that's really the nice thing about this series is we're going to get to see the things from like the gray areas and the dark side of things versus what we've always been fed about the Guardians of Light being the Jedi. So I'm really excited to just see where we go here from here.
You're muted.
Tommy's got to get going here in a second. We'll come back to the trailer in a second, but I wanted to show this while you guys were all still here. So, as we know, the poster for this came out, and I really liked it. I liked what they did. I couldn't really put my finger on why I liked it. It just felt different than other Star Wars posters. What did you guys all think of the poster for The Acolyte? I really enjoyed it. Especially if they are going the direction of, murder mystery and following the Sith Acolyte.
Well, honestly, when I first saw this, at first I just lightsaber's igniting, and all of a sudden I kind of took a real look at it. I was like, oh, that's a smear of blood coming from the lightsaber. Interesting. So I really feel like even though it's a simple image, it actually speaks tone. It just speaks tons of the volume here of exactly where this could lead to, because we've always known the Jedi to be the guardians of light, and now we're seeing essentially this is saying they're being snuffed out in a way. It's like that, the darkness is starting to swell and start to snuff out the light, and the symbolization, symbolizing the blood here of just the death of Jedi, which is kind of neat. I mean, I can't remember seeing something like this. So I like how they have if you look closely at the lightsaber itself, seeing little bits of, splatter of blood on it as well. So yeah, it's overall, I mean, I think it's a perfect depiction of, showing the strength of the dark side here, really.
Tommy, you like the poster? Don't like the poster?
I do like the poster. I really, really do like the poster. As far as the rising of the darkness, that alludes to, the change in the era and all. And this is a totally besides the point question. Does anyone know off the top of their head without Googling it how many years this takes place before a Phantom Menace?
So I believe if it's two different timelines, the earliest timeline is 100 years before the Phantom Menace.
Okay, well then that doesn't make sense, because or it means anything to do with a Sith is going to have to remain secret.
You're correct. So meaning if some of our good guy characters find out about said Sith,
they did.
Good guy characters are not going to be
able to be the blood on the lightsaber.
Yeah, which honestly makes me like the poster even more in terms of tone themes, like Randy was saying. Johnny, what about you, man?
It's familiar to me.
I'm glad you said that, because that's where we're going.
And I don't know why. I don't know what it's reminding me of. It's reminding me of another poster, and I can see it, like, in my mind. It's like, this. You know what this is.
I didn't know it either. I sat there.
But my mind's not making that jump to what it is it's reminding me of. And it's bugging me.
I sat there for 2 days not being able to think of why it felt so familiar to me. How about you, Randy, Tommy? Anybody know why this post, does it feel familiar to you or no? Because it should.
The concept of it does, but I don't know why.
Right, that's kind of
should be familiar to me.
Actually, yeah.
All right, if you think you know it, don't say it.
I literally just thought about it, and the vision kind of came in my head, but I mean, it could be what I'm thinking. It might not be.
And drum roll.
Well, that's not what I was thinking.
No, that's not what I was thinking either.
No.
My brain says no. That's not it.
I see it. I see where you're going with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's coincidence.
Oh, I'm not saying there's any thematic. Well, I mean, I guess there is Jedi Academy, and then
I would love a new game like Jedi Academy, but we ain't getting shit.
I think that's what we're supposed to get out of the.
So look up the poster for the Revenge of the Jedi, the original poster. Before Lucas changed it to Return of the Jedi.
I think it's the red lightsaber being held up.
There was, you see the hand. You see basically Luke's hands holding a red lightsaber being ignited.
Yeah.
That's where the image. That's when I saw that. Eventually, that's the kind of where my mind went with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen these two posters and I put them together. It's like, holy fuck! Like they're a ton alike.
They
Obviously,
are.
used in different places, but like even like the background and yeah, it's pretty close. Tommy, this is fun, man. We haven't got to do a trailer reaction together in a long while. Where can everybody find you at? And stay well, dude.
Well, here around Tuesdays, it seems I'm on screen a lot more recently, which is fun. It's enjoyable. Be looking forward to catching up with the brand spanking. You're a jerk. Brand spanking new episode of Bad Batch tomorrow morning. Always a fun thing.
It's already out.
Sean's a Bad Batch hater.
It's already out.
What?
I don't know if it's out on Disney Plus, but it leaked. I haven't.
Oh well, I'm not looking. Okay, I'm going to bed, so I don't need to worry about that.
Yeah, I don't know if Disney Plus just decided to put it out early, but there was a leak of it. So
Doubtful.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for the heads up, though.
Yep. Stay spoiler free, my friend.
Good night.
Get out of here, hater. And then there were the good guys, Randy and me. Let me just say that this part right here, a little too far, where, let's see, let's count. I think there's one really close in the frame. So 1,
7,
2,
8.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, there's at least 8. Get absolutely blown off their feet by some massive, powerful force user. I'm not saying it can't be this character, but it should be whoever this character is.
I think it's going to be the reveal of the Sith Master.
Yeah,
because that is the only powerful Dark Force user I could think of who would have the strength to just blow regular Jedi away. I'm not saying there's no masters in there, but still, if you're not prepared to fight a Sith, you're not going to be ready for whatever they throw at you sometimes.
Yeah, no, look, at the end of the day, guys, I really fucking loved what we got out of this trailer. Like, I felt like it touched on everything. I like the set pieces. It feels a little bit different. If there's one thing I was about, it was the laziness of this shot here, which is very clearly the volume screen. Clean that up before that fucking thing releases, please. The rest of the trailer looks pretty good. This is lazy. You don't need this. Either cut the whole shot. It's just hard, right? Because like you see shots like there's a ton of good shots in this, but like I'm trying to find the specific one here, like this, which like clearly has a lot of CG elements to it, but it looks real because it's filmed in a real place. I just think when you get great shots like this, and then you go and do the volume screen so blatantly like this, like that, there's no depth there, guys. That is flat as shit. It bothers me because they're very clearly better than this, and this is just an over-reliant. Johnny, I'm surprised you're not more vocal about this, because to me, this is more eye-numbingly sore than the prequels were because of how good the other shots are.
I don't know. I mean, for me, some of the stuff they've done with the volume has looked sloppy, but some of it also, and this is just crazy, but some of it also sort of takes me back to the old school era of matte painting backgrounds, which I know is obviously not what they're going for, but it's sort of a happy coincidence for me that it evokes that memory for me, that like I don't. It doesn't pull me away from it as much as, like, with the prequel trilogy, a lot of the overuse of CGI took me out of the moment because everything was so clearly fake. Whereas at least this is, clearly a set built at the volume, and then you have the volume background, and that's it. Like, the prequels had a lot of stuff in the foreground as well that was fake. And I think that's part of the difference. But for me, I don't. Trailers are trailers, and if it's overly noticeable in the final production, then okay. But in general, I don't have. It doesn't bug me as much.
Yeah, I mean, other than the volume shot, which to me stands out like a sore thumb, I really like what they did here. You can tell some of the sets are small and more than likely filmed at Manhattan Beach at times, but for the most part, the production quality seems a lot higher. Let me ask you this, just in terms of like looking at what the story could be. Tommy kind of brought it up inadvertently earlier. If these guys are to discover the Sith, they have to die, right? And they have to die before they can tell someone.
No. Just because it is sort of the perfect microcosm of the Jedi to withhold something like this. Especially if they think they've handled with it. If in the end they think they've dealt with it, then a Sith flare-up is nothing. It doesn't matter. Why
Yadi Mundi
blemish our
saying we
record?
haven't seen the Sith in a millennia? That should be thrown out the window. I mean, he's on the Jedi Council.
No. I'm saying it sort of speaks to the hubris of Jedi that they would just...
The threat's dealt with. We don't have to tell anybody.
Why darken our record? They've been gone for a millennia. Let's keep it that way.
It would have to be kept private, though, because like that's a discussion that happens amongst the masters. Like it would have to be like a Yoda thing where Yoda is the one to keep something like that private, because I would assume he would be one of few that would still be alive throughout all that time. But like it's Phantom Menace, the thing that happens right after the series, essentially, in terms of timeline order. And Ki-Adi Mundi says to the other masters, like, we haven't seen the Sith in a millennia. And I mean, I wouldn't put it past Yoda, though, because like I think the whole story of Star Wars, part of it is to realize that the Jedi are equally responsible for Anakin becoming Darth Vader. It's not just an Anakin thing. It's the way they were handling themselves and handling him. And, I like the idea that this series has a chance to show us honestly, I guess the earliest stages of the corruption of the Jedi Order heading into the Palpatine era.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense. Like, we know that, obviously, by the time Dooku is himself, a knight and a master, that a lot of things, by that point, the Jedi Order is entirely, the political beast of the Senate. I don't put it past sort of this being the event that sort of puts them under the Senate's thumb in sort of a way. I could see this being one of those stories that is a story, but the Senate sort of says, no, that's not Sith. That's not Sith. That's just that's one bad apple. That's a Jedi that's gone rogue. That's not the same thing. That's not a Sith. And the Jedi just being like, okay, it's not a Sith.
I have a hunch they're going to paint that May character in like hey, yeah, she's the bad guy, but from her perspective, she's not. And this is why. Like, I do think this series is going to be meant for the viewer to question the Jedi Order and the way they do things. I mean, if you're not questioning that after Revenge of the Sith or in the whole prequel trilogy, I don't know what you've been watching.
Yeah, I mean, I almost don't want it to be that, because I don't want to keep going to the from a certain point of view playbook. Like, I just want the power grab. I want the dark side to be the dark side and not,
Well, and it seems like we're going to get that with the Night Sisters, or the potential Night Sisters. It seems like that is something we're going to get. But remember, in Revenge of the Sith, Palpatine just straight up looks at Yoda as like, your arrogance blinds you. And then we can go back to a quote from The Dark Knight Rises, where Bane tells Bruce, "Victory has defeated you." So this is something that you could sit there and say that they're to the point now where they've been peacekeepers. Haven't had a real a sustainable threat, and that they're to a point now where they're just comfortable. So it's.
I do like that idea. I like that idea a lot. Like Randy's idea about like they're comfortable, complacent, and yet you could have these other warriors, whether it's a different religion or I don't think it will be. Like you watch them toss aside 8 Jedi like it was nothing. That better be a Sith.
But if they're comfortable and complacent, they may not even sense the dark side could easily cloud everything to the point of where they can't even tell there's a real substantial threat. If your instincts are sharp and you don't sit on your laurels, you're gonna be the slightest disturbance of the Force, you're gonna sense it. But if you're complacent and your skills are dull and your mind is not as sharp as it once was, the dark side can cloud it and you won't even know it's there.
I love the idea. I don't know if they're going to go this route, but I love the idea of what if the Sith have already infiltrated the Jedi Order. Eventually go the politic route, which is the smart play by Palpatine. But what if they have an inside person who's already on the Jedi Order? That, to me, would make things way more interesting, way more intriguing, and really show the what was it that Vince McMahon once said he's going to inject the WWE with a lethal dose of poison? Well, what better way to infect the Jedi Order than have a Sith a part of it?
And of course, that particular Sith could poison the mind of younglings, forcing them to make a decision whether they should stay or leave the Order. And
yep,
I think. I think to me that sort of smacks the face in the rule of 2, which I don't want.
I think they did that a long time ago.
It's not really until
even in current canon, it's not with Plagueis, Palpatine, and Maul.
But I think that sort of plays into the never-ending battle. Like in the rule of 2, where you train your apprentice, who then trains an apprentice to try and defeat you, and that's the cyclic, that's the cyclical circle of the rule of 2. There is always only 2. It's just there's always a third person not part of the circle until the first circle is broken, sort of thing. Like it's not really until Palpatine that circle eventually becomes, well, I have Maul, now I have Dooku, now I have Anakin. Where he just plays one apprentice against another apprentice, one acolyte against another acolyte until he gets to the prize he won. Like Palpatine played musical apprentices. Whichever one served his purpose better was the one he went with. And Anakin was obviously that prized possession. But before that, we never really had that. It was always, a master trains an apprentice who eventually decides, I can be the master, who then trains an apprentice and goes to battle with the master. And if they defeat them, they become the master. If they don't, then the master just finds a new apprentice.
And we knew Anakin was ready to do it before Obi-Wan cut him down, because he was talking about, I can overthrow him. I'm more powerful than the Emperor, than Palpatine. So he basically was ready just for Padme to go and just strike down Palpatine to take over until Obi-Wan whooped his ass.
Yeah, it's a good thing he didn't do that, because if Obi-Wan whooped his ass, and let me tell you, it wouldn't have gone too well against Uncle Palpatine.
No, it wouldn't have.
He did the right thing. He waited till Palpatine had his back turned and was like 115 years old.
I think that was more my family's on the line, I can finally go. I think that's the moment where Anakin reached his full potential. More than, he stopped hiding behind his cowardice. That was the point where he stopped hiding behind it.
He finally fulfilled the prophecy.
Yeah. I think if Padme were still alive, he would have had that moment then. because then
Oh yeah, for sure.
Palp would have threatened her, and at that point it's I'm standing between you and he's standing between love and darkness, and he chooses love.
Palpatine
He
was
chose
already
love.
threatening her, and that dipshit didn't realize.
But that's because he was a child and he was an idiot. He was a teenager, for God's sake. How many of us would have known much better then?
He chokes his pregnant wife. There's not much to go back to after that. Nope. No, you're basically at the end of the road there. You deserve what you got there, dude. No penis, no problem. You deserved it. Burnt rubbery leather bacon, you deserve that too. No limbs, you got it. Lose the ability to swallow, breathe on your own. Yeah, you probably deserved that.
Why did you choose swallow? Of all of the verbs you could have chosen, you go with swallow.
I mean, he was banging Padme.
I don't think he was the one doing the swallowing in that relationship.
You would hope not.
Anyway, this show has a lot of potential, but I'm not Andor with this yet. I know Johnny hasn't seen Andor, so you can't really judge on it. But Randy, I know you have. I'm not convinced it will be as deep or as big of a production as Andor, but I really hope it is. I hope it's the Jedi version of that show.
That would be pretty impressive because, just be prepared for like the first couple episodes to kind of be like, okay, let's set everything up. And then the third episode, also you're like, okay, all right, let's get going. Let's do this. And then just be like, I don't want it to end. and that's all you can hope for in any series, is to get to the point where you're just like, I want to watch more. I want to know more. I don't want this to end. We got that with Andor. Even though we know Cassian's end game, there's still learning more about I still want to know more about Cassian after watching Andor. So I'm really kind of hoping that's what we get with the Acolyte, that we get to learn about May, and we would just want to learn. We just want to follow her journey to whatever conclusion it ends up being. I think that's just going to be what'll tell us if it's how good of a show it really is.
Yeah, I want it to be so damn good. I hope that, I look into my crystal ball and June 4th comes around and those 2 episodes are done. I hope we're all on, the 3 of us are on here talking about how, well, shit, I wish they would have just put the whole series out. We could have watched the whole series in one night, sort of thing. I hope it catches us like that. The fact that they're putting 2 out, though, makes me believe 1 will definitely be very slow. Not necessarily episode 1, but one of the 2 episodes will be slower. Ahsoka episode 1 was pretty slow. I loved it, but others didn't. And the other thing is, the casual viewer has no idea who any of these characters are. I hope you give all the characters that you intend to follow throughout the season appropriate screen time, character depth. Make us care about people, because there's no Skywalker name here. There's no Kenobi here. The only guy that's going to pop up and, tickle your pickles probably going to be Yoda. It's like I know.
It's an interesting way of putting it.
And it's not because he's green, people. Jeez.
Or carries a green lightsaber. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You are just full of bad metaphors tonight.
But yeah, no, they have a responsibility here to make us care about characters. I would say it's Game of Thrones, but the casual viewer of Game of Thrones definitely had to get attached. But they already had diehards who were attached to these characters. You don't even have that, because you've chosen to put it in a time where you're only using, I believe, 1 High Republic character. So the diehards that you could have got from that era aren't going to be as attached to it as they could have been. So I really hope to spend time on character development. They need to.
Oh, absolutely. It's blank slate. It's sort of... It's the sequel trilogy without the big 3 crutch. And it's a very risky endeavor to go into this completely blank with no foreknowledge of any of these characters, and it's going to be interesting to see how quickly you adapt to that, which I think is the difference here, and how quickly they sort of tell the stories and get you invested in these characters. And I think 2 episodes is a good start for that. It gives you 2, hopefully long, that they're both on sort of the longer side. I would like these first 2 episodes to get as close to a 2-hour runtime as possible, if not even above that. In a perfect world, it'd be like 2 hours and 10 minutes for the first 2 episodes. That'd be my sort of what I'd want. But you need the time to establish these characters that you don't know, establish the story that you don't know, and get you invested in it. I think the big difference between this and Andor for me going into it is that, Andor was a series I didn't need, I didn't want, and I didn't care for. So when they put out the first 2 episodes that were slow and didn't sort of get you rolling, that's what allowed me to pull back and be like, no, I didn't care before I watched these 2, and I don't care now. Whereas this is intriguing, it's interesting, it has a premise that I care to see, a premise that I want to see, which will allow, for me as a viewer, will allow the first 2 episodes to be a bit more slow and story-y and get you into these characters where Andor didn't have that rope for me as a viewer.
Not to squash your hopes and dreams, but I hope your expectations not 2 hours to 2 hours and 10 minutes on night 1 for 2 episodes.
Oh, that's the hope. That's the hope. The reality is going to be more like an hour and 40 minutes.
The reports are already, these episodes range from 30 to 45 minutes, give or take a couple of minutes. So there's some short ones, just like Mando, and there's some longer ones, like the rare episode of Mando or the average episode of Andor.
I'll say this: if you pull out the first 2 episodes and your runtime is less than an hour and 40 minutes, he may take an opposite stance, and there may be some hand washing going on that first night for me.
I can guarantee you it won't be. You're not getting an hour and 40 minutes out of those 2 episodes. I'd be stunned. I think you will be lucky to get 90 minutes out of those 2 episodes. I think you're probably looking closer to like 75 or 80. I do think a show like this needs time. I know people go, well, it's not about the runtime. You do need runtime to build characters. You just do. And that's where it worries me. It's not just Lucasfilm Productions, it's Disney Plus Productions. They've gone this route a lot where they cut the runtime short. However, I need to see the episode before I could determine how I feel. They could do a 47-minute first episode and a 33-minute second episode, and it might hit depending on what the episode's about or what's going on. It depends how the episodes are constructed. Like, is it going to be one free-flowing story, or is there going to be a little bit of a gap in between each episode?
Don't forget, this isn't the first property that we've gone into that we pretty much don't know the characters. Mandalorian did it in season 1, and yeah, started a little slow. Business picked up and ended up being a great season. So it's not like they do not know how to help build characters from the ground up that you have no knowledge of. So I'm cautiously optimistic that we're going to get we're going to get some really good character development, even if it's only a few. We don't have to know all of them. If you're basically nothing but fodder, we definitely don't need you. Just put your red shirt on and walk away. But still, I think the ones they have shown, I'm pretty sure we'll get some good character development that they've focused on in the trailer.
Like, I'm positive this is Daphne Keane now. Like, Daphne Keane and Charlie Barnett, those characters are going to get focus. They just have to. If not, you're failing at your job. Carrie Ann Moss's character, like, Carrie-Anne Moss, the main character, Amanda Stenberg May or whatever.
Well, and who's to say that Carrie-Anne Moss's character survives at the end of season 1? You have to. I mean, you have to think that
them all die.
Right, but I'm saying like you have to realize that some of the Jedi Masters for sure are probably going to do what Jedi do and make sure that their younglings, their Padawans are taken care of and that they stay and fight the good fight until the bitter end. I could see Carrie-Anne Moss and the other dude just taking on the Sith Lord by themselves while the rest try to escape. I can just see something like that happening.
It's going to be interesting to see how the story plays out. Putting 2 Jedi Masters in the forefront is going to be interesting. Establishing one of your higher tier characters as a Padawan of one of those apprentices is interesting. And giving you that, Jedi Knight in the middle is also interesting. So you're getting the multiple tiers of Jedi in the forefront that I like to see, which is something we don't really we never really got that in any of the movies. It was always master and apprentice, and then the Jedi Council would sit in the background and occasionally have their moments, but they weren't at the forefront. And yeah, let's be honest, most of the time when you saw Jedi Masters in the forefront, they were probably almost getting killed or getting killed.
I got to admit a little bit here. I'm a little worried that the Jedi in this show are going to be like even more arrogant than Windu is. And it's just going to drive me up the wall and hope that they all get slaughtered by whoever the Sith character is. I hope, like, to me, the Jedi of this era are supposed to be uptight. Like that's what they've kind of set up. So it's like, okay, who are the characters that are going to stand out that aren't like that? And how many of these so-called good characters are we going to be going, if you trip over a bantha's foot and fall into a lightsaber, we're not going to cry about it. But,
how do you trip over a bantha's foot? That'd be like tripping over the foot of an elephant.
I know. Shout out to the yellow lightsabers, too. Thank you for some variety.
Well, and it also can make you wonder, do they adhere to the Guardian Sentinel, that the ranks based on lightsaber color?
Interesting. Never thought of it that way.
Which could give us different lightsaber styles, different forms we normally don't get to see, except for like what Obi-Wan goes to Soresu, after episode 1, and then Anakin, I think, primarily uses form 5. I mean, like, it's just one of those things where this gives us a chance to see all the different types of forms there could be, with the exception of a pod, which I know that's something, if memory serves me correctly, Mace came up with that himself. You're muted.
I think you're right. I'm 99% sure he did. So, what else is on the agenda tonight, Johnny? I don't have it in front of me, but I think it was just Game of the Week.
Nope.
What else was supposed to be tonight?
Well, we made the joke off the jump when you posted the your Watto meme, and I said that Aesper has enough excuses for all of us.
Oh, then no, that's the same topic.
That's Game of the Week?
You're damn right. The game of this week is the recently released Star Wars Battlefront Classic Connection from those fucking idiots at Asper Media.
Collection.
The collection, pardon me. My apologies about the collection part. But like, it's talking to our old buddy Mondo. Those of you from the Wasteland days, I'm sure you remember Mondo. And I'm going to pull up what he said. And I totally agree with it. Like, could not have been, it wasn't like his normal Mondo-esque self either, Johnny. It was a pretty serious comment. And he's like, should have been the easiest win in the history of game development. and they fucked it all up. And I'm not even talking about the Classic Collection. I'm talking about the Knights of the Old Republic remake. The Classic Collection's number 2. And it's like, how can you argue with that? You know, congratulations. You ported over Jedi Academy, Jedi Outcast, I think Pod Racer and some other stuff. And the ports are good. They work. But anytime where you've been asked to raise the bar a little, add in more content, or do an entire remake, they have completely and utterly fumbled the ball, and honestly have basically gutted their company's reputation at this point. To a point, like, we were all excited to get on here and play the Battlefront Classic Collection as a group. Okay, we were excited. You know, the individual matchups, I'm not entirely sure about. I know one of us was excited. And you know what? I'll make you guys a promise. As long as they just take the thing right down, we will get you that matchup, even if I have to buy the game and I just do the invite over, and whether Johnny's actually physically here or digitally invite the person to your console or whatever it is. It'll be split screen, but we will get that matchup in one way or another at some point. Might actually be better that way. We'd have more access to more maps. But like, guys, this is, I know, Johnny, you were talking about, you know, regrettably having to probably spend $40 on this thing, but I told Randy probably 2 days. I waited a couple of days for it to come out from as many reliable places as I could. And I said to Randy, I'm like, don't buy this game. I'm like, not until they either take time and put more time into it, more effort into it.
You said that in the group chat.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm not kidding. Don't. If I have to, I'll swallow the pill and buy it just to do that matchup. But like, if I'm anybody out there considering putting $40 down on this that's not involving content, don't. Like, this is disgraceful. This honestly, it sucks because people get mad when people talk negatively about Star Wars. But then how can you not talk negatively about this? How can you not hold them responsible for what was allowed to happen? Like, you can whine, moan, and bitch about people talking negative all you want, but if you're keeping people accountable, this is a disgrace. And it sucks because now they've dropped the ball completely with the 2 biggest legacy games that they ever had. And that's just fucking epic failure.
For me, the first sort of rumbling I got was the launch night. You know, and you start hearing the servers are overloaded. And you're like, okay, that actually makes sense. You know, it came out of nowhere, and everybody sort of wound up their backs and were like, wait a minute, excuse me, what's this now? And got excited for it, collectively. And you start seeing the headlines, you know, servers are woefully unprepared, and it's like, okay, well, that's not surprising. I'm thinking, like, you know, they had servers prepared in the hundreds of servers, and, you know, could support thousands of players, and just the demand far outpaced what they were prepared for, which would not have surprised me one bit. And you start actually reading it, and it's like, they had 3 servers at launch being able to support under 200 players concurrently.
Did you read the launch numbers? Did you read the launch numbers too? How many people were trying to play?
I read something in the tens of thousands.
Yes. At first they thought it was 10,000, then I seen something like upwards of 26,000, and it's like, that's.
I was saying this to my brother at the time we were talking about it, and I'm like, I expected it to be like, you know, I expected the demand to outpace their ability. I expected that. I was not surprised. Then you start reading, and it's like, how do you only have 3 servers? Like, you're putting out a game with capabilities to support 64 players on multiple consoles without crossplay compatibility. Like, what? Did you have 1 server per console set?
Probably.
Like, how are you this unprepared to launch this game? Like, now part of me says that, you know, this is sort of that corporate, is it done? Good, put it out. I don't care if you're not ready. Put it out anyway. Could that be the case? Yes, certainly. Nobody's going to point the finger back at Lucas and be like,
well, they should.
Yeah, this is actually your fault.
Games.
Well, the problem is you can't do that, because then suddenly no third party is wanting to license you, and you have to create from whole cloth, and that's hard. That's not their forte.
Well, it should be. It was their forte back in the day, and they were a lot better then than they are today. Like
But that's
they,
the thing. They've sort of become this publishing house where you bring your ports to them and they do your ports, and they got good at that. And here's this now. It's like that was bad enough, and then you start seeing some of the glitches and you know the stuff like that, and then came the modders, and that was I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Like you start seeing them like I played Battlefront on the PC 10 years ago a lot. So I played with a lot of the mods and things like that. And I started seeing some of these clips. I'm like, that looks familiar. Like, why does this look like something I've seen before? And then you start seeing the modders coming out and talking about how Aesper made it clear that they weren't going to use any of the mods. The stuff that they were, despite having crossover with some of the mods, was just going to be their own creation. And then you start seeing some of the glitches that are literally identical to the modded glitches, and the coders digging into the actual back end and being like, it's the same code. It's bad faith. It's bad everything.
I just want to interject for 1 second. My stance on that, because I kind of have two stances on that, is the modders are doing work on a game they're not supposed to be doing work on. So part of me is like, you're crying over spilled milk. But then when you come out and say you're not using their work, and then on top of it to not credit them, holy shit! Like, what are we doing here?
Like if they had been straight out saying, yes, we're using the work that modders created, it was blah blah blah, and the Steam community created this, we thought it was great work, so we're incorporating it into the actual game. That's great, because that sort of attention drawn to a mod, that's what they want. Because then all of a sudden all of their other content is suddenly through the roof, and and they're getting a bigger look at their other products and stuff. That's what the mod community wants. They want that pat on the back to be like, yeah, this is good stuff. That's why modders love when companies are doing sort of the mod spotlights and things like that other games are prevalently do. Like that's one thing the art community has always loved, is the mod spotlight. Where each week they'll spotlight a different mod and be like, this is great, we love this. And sometimes they'll hire the guys to create content for the actual mainline game. That's how we got 2 of the expansion maps in Ark, was by modders who wowed the company that got hired to port their work to the mainline game. That's what the modding community is all about. But here we're just gonna steal it, tell you we didn't steal it, and not give you any credit. That's bad. Like, they didn't even recode it. Like, if you take the work and be like, yeah, this works, we'll just code it in ourselves and we'll put it in the code and it'll look the same, but it's our code. They didn't even do that. Like, this reeks of, we downloaded the game, installed the top popular mods, and then just put it all together, and that's what the game is.
It amazes me that Lucasfilm allows this to happen. Lucasfilm Games, Asper. I mean, they're done. Like, you fucked up Battlefront 1, Battlefront 2, and the Knights of the Old Republic remake. Good luck. Have fun. Touch on the Dark Forces thing in a second. But Randy, your thoughts on, I mean, not just a bad release, but just flat out controversial thing now.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to even want to put my money to back them with about the shady shit they've been doing. But it's so disappointing when you have easily 2 layups that you could easily make with KOTOR and Battlefront, where you have a fan base that's been craving for something new, or at least a remaster or something, and you can't deliver. You half-ass it, or you just don't care. You take the money and run, sort of thing, and take the mentality of, we can always patch it down the road. That's what we do with everything else. No, that's not what you do. This is something you shouldn't have to patch. This isn't something that should have been 65 gigabytes. Didn't you do the pre-download and everything for that? It was like 65 gigs for that. That's I don't know. It's disappointing. It's frustrating. It's the wrong side of the end of gaming. This is not what we deserve as Star Wars fans. This is not what we deserve as fans of just classic gaming in general. It's time, and maybe it's just time to let someone else do it. Obviously, I know you hinted at it earlier talking about Dark Forces, but that company clearly knows what they're doing. But let's hand it off to them. Let them take control, polish it up, make it look shiny and new, and add new features and give us something we deserve. Because clearly Asper doesn't know what they're doing. They just don't care. They just did it for the money, and it shows.
Yeah, it's truly, really kind of heartbreaking, to be honest, guys. The end result, not necessarily the end result, but the end result of the launch, anyways, and how it ended. There's bad launches, and then there's just downright horrendous. You've destroyed your company's reputation forever, which is what this is. But Dark Forces, on the other hand, John, I don't know if you've read anything on that. I also think that the company doing that, I think, only does first-person shooters. I could be wrong on that. I'd have to dig into it, but I thought I read somewhere that was the case. But yeah, nothing but fucking rave reviews about the Dark Forces remake. I told I think it was Randy, or maybe it was in the group chat. But I just said, hey, I'm going to take the money that I was going to use on the Battlefront Classic Collection, and I'm going to get Dark Forces. Like, the reviews are really fucking good on that. And, if I'm going to give something my time, I'd rather it be something that actually earned it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the day it came out, I purchased it, and I don't regret it. It's been fun. It's fast paced. They changed the controls around to how you actually aim and stuff, which was needed considering it was very clunky when they ported it over to the PlayStation. They've everything's crisp and looks so good in HD. I mean, even though yes, it's the same graphics, they really put a fresh coat of paint on there that just brightened everything up and makes it look so good. The sound is still there. I've had some really intense fights in it. I'm going, my hands are like gripping the controller and everything. Yeah, it's definitely worth the money. You can tell these guys are fans of this game, fans of the franchise, and they just put all this love into it, and it's so fun. It's definitely worth the money.
I don't really have anything else to add. I don't even really want to give it more time, other than we'll find a way to get you some sort of Battlefront matchup down the road, but it won't be as imminent as we're all hoping it would be. And to those of you that spent your money on it, I'm
sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's not a joke. Like, it's things are expensive. Living's expensive.
I hope you played it less than the 2 hours so you could get your refund wherever you purchased it on. I know that each of the different consoles have different, amounts of time you can play a game before you refund it. I know Steam, it's 2 hours. I think it's the same on Xbox. I don't know PlayStation's, but, most digital stores have refund policies, so if you did buy it, load it up, and realize this is garbage and stop playing immediately, you are probably eligible for a refund. Look into it. On whatever platform you purchased it on, if that is something you want to do, or if you want to have the faith and be like, well, I'm already invested, see if they fix it. You're probably in for a long wait. That may not come. So, be prepared for that. Me, when this is on sale in 3 months for this summer sale and it's down to like $5, I might buy it. Because that's probably what it's going to be. And that's probably what's going to happen.
Fuck, at this rate, they should do a 99-cent day.
They did. It's the $5 sale.
Oh, for Canada, right?
I was just going to say inflation. A 99-cent game is $5 now. It's like a loaf of bread.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Bag of milk.
More than $5 up here where I am. What do you think the cheapest bag of milk is up here?
Up there? I have no idea. I know down here it's
$8.
Buy a cow. It's cheaper.
$8. Fucking nuts.
Bag of milk.
Oh, for the love of God.
Off.
To take us out of here, Johnny. Please.
Is it blue too? I mean, shit.
No, that the jug might be that you put it in. All right, everybody. Wait, who's got next week's pick? Is it Randy?
There is no game of the week next week.
Well, I mean the next pick.
I believe you are correct, and I will think of something.
All right. Well, Randy's gonna think of something.
You guys are lucky that happened to the Battlefront collection because it was going to be Bombad Racing tonight.
I think I would have preferred that because at least it was bad, and I had no expectations of it being good, so I would have preferred that. But, a cask of milk? That's a thing. All right. What's the schedule? Is it next week? Watch along, then trivia, or have I got that backwards?
Yeah, you're right.
I'm right. Okay. All right. So join us next week where we will finally. That's me knocking on wood. Where we will finally get
next week. There will be no March watch along.
We'll finally get to the watch along for the month that we've been putting off each consecutive week for like the last month. Wow, why did that start playing sound? Okay.
The whole time.
No, I had another window open. Started playing sound after I had it muted. All right. Next week we have the solo watch along. Hopefully, knock on wood, unless something crazy happens in the next 7 days. Which, if it does, we blame Sean now. Not
Decide to
Randy.
watch something else.
We will.
It's show night. Surprise!
And the week after that, we are back with a trivia matchup.
You know what? Hang on. Sorry. We forgot to cover something that was. It's actually pretty important. If anybody wasn't paying attention to the news closely today, they made it official that Acolyte footage will be attached to the Phantom Menace theatrical release, and more so, it's supposed to come after the movie, not before.
That's smart, because that is going to keep somebody like me from leaving after the trailers are over. Like, okay, I saw my Acolyte footage, I can leave now. That just means that I guess I'll just take a really long bathroom break somewhere in the early part of the movie and come back for the finale and then watch the after credit stuff, I guess. Right? That's the smart thing to do, right?
That'll be the day you get mugged in the bathroom for karma.
All right. Like I said, join us next week. Solo watch along, barring crazy news week. Week after that, return to trivia. Do we have competitors locked down for that yet?
Yeah, it's me versus Randy with you doing.
I thought we were rating. I thought there was somebody else that if it wasn't them, Randy was stepping in.
Not as of yet.
Okay.
Worst case scenario, the winner of us will go up against him.
I guess that was the early plan. That has since changed. So, all right, 2 weeks, Randy, Sean, trivia. And after that is another new month. We'll see what that month will bring us. Another watch along, more stuff, more news, more trivia, all that fun stuff. All right, if you like the show, if you like our content, head down below, click that thumbs up button, leave a comment if you're not watching live. Or if you are watching live, come back later and leave us a comment because it helps us defeat the evil algorithm. Head on over to the channel, subscribe, click the notification bell, all that fun stuff so that you will always be notified whenever we push out new content, like Monday nights. Welcome to Haddonfield. Sean and Dean talk about all the goings-on of Halloween. And, of course, the most important...
Haddonfield.
Isn't that what I said? Wow.
Welcome to Haddonfield.
Oh, damn. Well, that's a first one. Usually I'm pretty good about that.
The first spin-off, Welcome to Haddonfield. The second spin-off, Good Morning Haddonfield.
I guess I'm confusing my shows now. I'm thinking Welcome to the Geek Side and confusing it with Tonight in Haddonfield. So Monday nights, Tonight in Haddonfield. Watch that for, of course, the most important segment of that whole show, in my opinion, of course, is Dean's Show and Tell. Tuesday nights, join us here for the Legacy of Star Wars podcast. Yes, the show Share and Slash. Wednesday nights, occasionally, Welcome to the Geek Side. Keep your eyes open. You never know when they're going to happen. And, of course, at random points during the week, Sean might pop up for a gaming stream. So keep your eyes and ears open for that. And coming soon to a small screen near you, the Legacy of Smallville.
I actually believe we're recording this week. So
Here you go. Even closer than you might think is the Legacy of Smallville. And if you want to contribute on another level... head on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/Fandom Empire, where you can contribute at whatever level you're comfortable at, all the way from $1 to $1 billion. If you happen to be a multi-billionaire, we'd happily take it.
Can I just say too, if you're going to donate $1 billion, maybe just like find a way to wire transfer it to us. I'm not sure Patreon needs that big of a cut. Just so, or Patreon.
What he said. Hit us up. You can send us each $250 million. We'll all be happy. All right. I think that's everything. Head on over Legacy of Star Wars Facebook group. We're going to be working on getting that. Why does that look like Harry Potter? You're muted.
Close with the glasses. I won't come in.
Your green screen's eating it alive.
Oh.
Is that George?
Yeah, there you go. You're right with the glasses.
Funkos look all the same. You see glasses, and you think, is that Harry Potter? All right. I think that's it. I got all the plugs in, right? I didn't forget anything.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Little thing I like to do, since we have some. We talked about it earlier. Nobody knew where. No, I don't even know why I'm looking at that. That's Darth Plagueis. I don't need to know about where he's from. Never mind. I was gonna fact check where Plagueis's master was from, but I was on the wrong profile, so I can't do that. All right. Join us next week. Solo watch along.
Hide your pickles from Yoda.
My train has just left the station, so I've lost my outro. We'll see you next week, and may the Force be with you all.
For if one is remembered by a friend, one is never truly gone.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Johnny's secretly relieved the Battlefront collection had the disaster started. Going, whew, dodged a bullet. Good night, everyone.